Who could believe it? A 9-year-old, pregnant? Was it even possible? The news spread through the small village like wildfire, leaving neighbors whispering in disbelief and fear. Everyone had a theory, but no one had answers. How could something so impossible happen? Little Asha stood quietly, her eyes wide but unafraid. Her mother, Mira, wept in the corner of their tiny home. It's a miracle, some said. It's a curse, others murmured. But Asha wasn't crying. She wasn't even frightened. She looked determined, strong, like she knew something they didn't. A few elders gathered at their home, demanding answers from Mira. Who did this? How could you let this happen? One man shouted, his voice shaking. Mira clutched her hands together, trembling. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know. But Asha finally spoke. Her voice was soft but steady. I'm not afraid, she said, because the baby is special. Silence fell. No one knew what to say. A child with a child? Was she lying? Was it a dream or something beyond their understanding? The room fell so quiet that even the crackling of the small fire seemed loud. Special? What did Asha mean? The villagers stared, waiting for her to explain. Mira grabbed Asha's hand. What do you mean, child? She whispered, fear in her voice. Asha's gaze softened, and she smiled, not a frightened smile, but one of peace. He came to me in a dream, she said, a bright light. He said I would carry the child who would save us all. The villagers exchanged uneasy glances. Who? An elder woman asked, her voice trembling. Who came to you? Asha tilted her head as if listening to something only she could hear. A protector, she said softly. He said when the storm comes, only the pure of heart will understand. The storm? Mira asked, her voice cracking. What storm, Asha? I don't know yet, Asha admitted, but he promised the child would bring hope. The crowd erupted into whispers again. Was it a miracle or madness? Fear clashed with curiosity in their faces. But then, outside the door, a low rumble of thunder echoed across the sky, though no storm had been predicted for weeks. The rumble grew louder, vibrating the ground beneath their feet. Asha's eyes sparkled with calm understanding. She squeezed her mother's hand and stepped toward the door while everyone else shrank back. Wait, Mira cried, her voice filled with panic. You can't go out there. Asha turned, her expression tender. I have to, Mama. The protector said this is the beginning. Lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating the village in a blinding white light. But strangely, no rain fell. The villagers crowded near the windows, their eyes wide with fear. This wasn't an ordinary storm. A man named Raj, known for his skepticism, scoffed. This is nonsense. A dream? A protector? She's just a child spinning tales. But before anyone could reply, the door swung open by itself, and a powerful gust of wind rushed through the house. Instead of feeling cold, the wind was warm, almost comforting. Asha didn't flinch. She walked calmly to the threshold, looking up at the swirling clouds. Do you see? She asked, turning to the crowd. This is what he said would happen. And it's just the beginning. Then out of the swirling clouds, a voice echoed, deep, gentle, and kind. Fear not, for she carries the light. Gasps filled the room. No one could see where the voice came from, but it was clear it wasn't human. Raj stumbled backward, his face pale. What is this? Asha smiled, her bravery unshaken. I told you, he is here. The voice hung in the air, resonating with a strange warmth that silenced every doubt. Outside, the swirling sky parted, revealing something extraordinary. A shimmering figure cloaked in light. It floated just above the ground, radiating a golden glow that made it impossible to tell if it was a man, a woman, or something else entirely. The villagers were paralyzed with awe and terror. Even Raj, who had mocked Asha only moments ago, fell to his knees, unable to speak. Asha stood unfazed, her face radiant with trust. You came, she whispered to the figure, her voice full of quiet wonder. The glowing being nodded slowly. I am the guardian, it said, its voice soft yet powerful, like a distant echo in the wind. And you, child, are chosen. But the task will not be easy. Mira collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down her face. She's just a little girl. Why now? The guardian's light dimmed slightly, as if in sorrow. Because only the pure of heart can bear the burden, it replied. She is not ordinary. She never was. Asha stepped closer, looking up into the light. I'm not afraid, she said again, her voice stronger this time. Tell me what I must do. The guardian's glow brightened again, its warmth filling the room. You must protect the child within you. There will be those who seek to destroy him before he is born. They fear what he will become. Gasps filled the room. Danger? Who would harm an unborn child? Raj, his voice shaking, finally found the courage to speak. Who are these people? Why would they do such a thing? The guardian turned its gaze to him, and for a moment, Raj felt the weight of eternity in its eyes. Because, it said slowly, he will change the world. The guardian's words sent a chill through the room. He will change the world. It was not a promise, it was a warning. Asha's hand instinctively rested on her small belly. Who will try to stop us? She asked, her voice steady but her eyes full of curiosity. The guardian's glow flickered. There are forces dark and ancient that fear the light. They have watched since the dawn of time, waiting for this moment. They know what the child represents. Hope, peace, and the end of their reign. Mira, still trembling, shook her head. But she's just a child herself. How can she fight such evil? The guardian's voice softened. She is not alone. You, too, will be her shield. Mira's eyes filled with fresh tears. I'm not strong enough. I can't protect her. Asha turned and took her mother's hand. Yes, you can, Mama. You already are. Before anyone could respond, a loud knock echoed from the door. Slow, deliberate, and menacing. The villagers froze. No one had seen anyone approach, yet the knock rang out again. Raj whispered, It's them, isn't it? The ones who want to harm the child. The guardian didn't answer immediately, but instead raised a hand toward the door. Stay calm, it said. They cannot enter without permission. Asha stepped forward, her heart racing but her courage unbroken. What should we do? The guardian's light blazed brighter. You must not open the door. They will try to trick you, to make you doubt. Be strong, for doubt is their weapon. Another knock echoed, harder this time. Then, a chilling voice spoke from the other side. Let us in. We mean no harm, just a word with the girl. The voice was sweet, almost musical, but there was something cold and unnatural beneath it. Everyone looked at Asha. Asha's heart pounded, but she didn't move from the door. The villagers, huddled in fear, stared at her in stunned silence. The voice on the other side spoke again, softer this time, almost pleading. Please, we are lost travelers. We need shelter. Won't you show mercy? Mira clung to Asha's arm, her face pale. It's a trick, she whispered. Don't listen. The guardian's voice rang out, calm and steady. They wear many faces. Do not answer, no matter what they say. But then the voice outside changed. It became familiar, soft, loving. It was the voice of Asha's late father. Asha, my little star. It called, gentle and warm. It's Papa. Let me in, child. Asha's breath caught in her throat. Her father had died 2 years ago in a terrible storm, and now that voice, so full of love, was calling to her again. Her feet shifted as if drawn by the sound. Mira grabbed her daughter tightly. It's not him. You know it's not him. But it sounds like him, Asha whispered, tears welling in her eyes. It sounds so real. The guardian's light dimmed, and its voice was filled with sorrow. They know your heart, child. They will use your pain against you. Asha's hand hovered near the latch of the door. Every part of her ached to believe it was her father. But then she heard something. A subtle hiss beneath the loving words, a slithering malice hidden in the sweet tone. It wasn't him. No, Asha said, her voice trembling but firm. She stepped back from the door, tears streaming down her face. You're not my papa. Suddenly, the voice outside turned cold and furious. You will regret this, child, it spat. You will not survive. The door shook violently, as if something monstrous was trying to break through. But the guardian raised its hand, and with a brilliant flash of light, the pounding ceased. Silence fell once more. They are gone for now, the guardian said, its voice weary but proud. You were brave. The silence that followed was heavy, but the danger had not passed entirely. The villagers stared at Asha in awe, as if seeing her for the first time, not as a child, but as something much more. Mira knelt, holding Asha close, her tears mixing with pride and fear. You were so brave, Mira whispered. I almost lost you to them. Asha wiped her mother's tears away and smiled softly. They can't take me, Mama. Not if we stay strong. The guardian's glow dimmed slightly, the light no longer blinding but warm and comforting. Tonight you have seen what you face, it said, turning to the room. But this is only the beginning. The darkness will return, and next time, it will be stronger. Raj stood, still shaken, but there was a newfound respect in his eyes. How do we fight something like this? We're simple people. We don't have magic. The guardian regarded him with a solemn gaze. You do not need magic. Courage, love, and unity are your greatest weapons. The darkness thrives on fear and doubt. If you trust one another and stand together, they cannot defeat you. But what if we fail? Mira asked, her voice cracking. What if we're not enough? The guardian's expression softened. Failure comes only to those who give up. Remember this, the light within Asha is not hers alone. It belongs to all of you. Asha turned to the villagers, her young face filled with quiet determination. I need your help, she said. If we're going to protect the baby, we have to protect each other. The villagers exchanged glances, uncertain but inspired. Slowly, Raj stepped forward and knelt before Asha. I mocked you, he said, his voice trembling with shame. But I see now you are our hope. I will stand with you. One by one, the others followed, forming a circle around Asha and Mira, pledging their loyalty. The room, once filled with fear, now radiated strength and unity. The guardian's light flared one last time. The storm will come again, but you will not face it alone. And with those words, it vanished, leaving behind only a faint glow that lingered in the hearts of those who had witnessed the impossible. Days passed, and the village transformed. Fear gave way to purpose as the people prepared for the next attack. They worked together, reinforcing homes, storing food, and learning to defend not just with weapons, but with unwavering courage. Asha, though still a child, became the heart of their efforts. Her calm, determined presence gave them strength. But one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a strange figure appeared at the edge of the village. Cloaked in dark robes, it walked with slow, deliberate steps, carrying no weapon. Its face was hidden beneath a deep hood, but the air around it seemed to shimmer with cold. The villagers gathered, watching in tense silence as the figure approached. Raj, now one of Asha's fiercest protectors, stepped forward, spear in hand. Stop, he commanded. Who are you and what do you want? The figure halted, then slowly raised its head. Beneath the hood was not the face of a monster, but a young woman, her features pale and delicate, her eyes like shards of ice. I come with a warning, she said, her voice soft but deadly. Raj tightened his grip. We don't trust you. Speak quickly. The woman's lips curled into a cold smile. The child you protect is not what you think, she said, her gaze settling on Asha. He is no savior. He will bring ruin to this world. Gasps filled the air, but Asha stood firm. You're lying, she said, her voice steady. The woman laughed, a hollow, eerie sound. Am I? Ask your guardian why, it hasn't told you the whole truth. Why it hides the child's destiny from you. Mira's face turned pale. What are you saying? The woman stepped closer, ignoring Raj's spear. There is a prophecy, she whispered. One that speaks of a child born to light, who will bring the end of both light and dark. He will not choose a side. He will destroy them all. Asha's heart raced, doubt creeping into her mind. Could it be true? Was she protecting a force that could destroy everything? The woman leaned in, her voice like poison. You still have a choice. End this now and save your world, or watch everything burn. Asha's breath hitched, but she didn't back down. She stared into the icy woman's eyes, searching for the truth beneath the threat. The villagers murmured nervously, fear clawing its way back into their hearts. No, Asha said, her voice firm. You want us to doubt, but I won't. She turned to the others, her gaze steady. She's trying to divide us. The woman's smile faltered for a moment, replaced by something darker. You're brave, child, she hissed. But bravery won't save you from the truth. Raj stepped between Asha and the woman, raising his spear. Leave now, or I'll make you. The woman laughed again, this time with cold amusement. You cannot harm me, but I'll leave you with a gift. She raised her hand, and the air around her shimmered with dark energy. Before anyone could react, a bolt of shadow shot from her palm, aiming for Asha. Time seemed to slow as the villagers cried out in horror. But just before the dark energy could reach her, a barrier of golden light appeared, blocking the attack. The guardian's voice echoed through the village, though its form was not visible. You will not harm her. The woman's face twisted in fury. This is not over, she spat. The child's destiny is sealed, whether you like it or not. With a final burst of icy wind, the woman vanished into the night, leaving the villagers shaken and confused. Mira clutched Asha, tears streaming down her face. Asha, are you hurt? Asha shook her head, her heart still racing. I'm fine, Mama. The guardian's voice returned, softer now but resolute. She spoke half-truths to sow doubt. But the future is not written in stone. The child's destiny will be what you make it. Raj turned to the unseen guardian. But what if she's right? What if the child destroys everything? A pause hung in the air before the guardian replied. The child will have the power to change the world. Whether for creation or destruction, that choice will be his. A heavy silence settled over the crowd. Asha clenched her fists, her determination unwavering. Then we'll teach him to choose the light. The village fell into an uneasy calm after the dark figure's departure. The night air was thick with uncertainty, but also with the quiet resolve that had begun to grow within the hearts of the villagers. Asha's words echoed in their minds. We'll teach him to choose the light. Days turned into weeks, and the villagers worked harder than ever to prepare. They fortified their homes, trained together, and learned to trust one another in ways they never had before. But no one could ignore the nagging thought in the back of their minds. What if the child within Asha's womb was destined for destruction? Asha felt the weight of that doubt pressing on her, but every time she looked at her mother's loving face or the people standing beside her, she found the strength to push it away. Her baby was a symbol of hope, not ruin. She would make sure of it. One morning, as the sun rose, the villagers gathered at the center of the village, waiting for Asha. She had gone out at dawn, speaking of a vision she had, something important. When she returned, her face was pale, yet filled with determination. I've seen it, she said, her voice steady despite the fear in her heart. The storm is coming. It's not just the darkness, it's a force we've never faced before. She paused, looking into the eyes of those gathered. It's not just about protecting the child. It's about protecting all of us. Raj stepped forward, his brow furrowed. What do you mean, Asha? What kind of force? Asha looked at him, her young eyes filled with wisdom that belied her years. There are others hidden among us who want the child for their own purposes. They don't just want to kill him. They want to control him, twist his power. They will stop at nothing to take him from us. Mira stepped closer, her hand shaking as she placed a protective arm around Asha. How do you know this, my daughter? I heard them, Asha whispered. In a dream. The child, he will speak to me when the time comes. But there are forces out there, watching, waiting. The villagers exchanged nervous glances. Could it be true? Were there traitors among them? Asha's voice broke through their murmurs. We must prepare, and we must be ready. Not just for the storm, but for the truth. We can't afford to ignore it. Suddenly, the wind picked up, a gust of cold air sweeping through the village, rustling the leaves and making the trees creak. Everyone stopped, looking to the sky. Dark clouds were gathering quickly, as though summoned by Asha's words. The storm was upon them. Asha took a deep breath. It's time. The storm hit faster than anyone expected. The wind howled through the village, tearing at the roofs, sending dust and debris flying through the air. The sky was a deep, angry gray, and lightning crackled above, casting eerie shadows on the ground. Asha, despite the chaos around her, stood tall. She could feel the child inside her stirring, as if it, too, was preparing for the battle ahead. She knew the storm wasn't just the wind or rain. It was a manifestation of the darkness that sought to consume them all. The forces who had threatened her were not far off. Get to safety, Rod shouted, ushering the villagers into their homes, his voice firm but filled with urgency. But Asha didn't move. She stayed where she stood, watching the sky, feeling the tension in the air. Mira tried to pull her daughter inside, but Asha gently pulled away. I can't run, Mama. Not this time. The guardian's voice echoed through the storm, soft but clear. You are ready, child. The strength of those who stand with you will guide you. Asha's heart pounded in her chest, but she stood her ground. She knew what she had to do. The child is the light we need. He will fight this storm. She closed her eyes for a moment, focusing on the warmth growing inside her. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the air, followed by a dark figure emerging from the edge of the village. It was the woman, the one who had warned them, the one who had promised the child would bring destruction. She was not alone. Several more figures appeared, shrouded in darkness, their eyes glowing with an unnatural, malevolent light. Do you see now? The woman called out, her voice mocking. The child will bring the end of this world. It's inevitable. Asha stepped forward, her eyes burning with the fire of conviction. No, you are wrong. The child will choose what he becomes, and I will help him. The woman's lips curled into a cruel smile. You cannot stop what is already in motion. But as the dark figures advanced, something incredible happened. The air around Asha began to shimmer with golden light, swirling like a protective shield. Her heart swelled, and she felt the child within her respond, as if he was awakening to the power that had been growing inside them both. I won't let you destroy us, Asha said, her voice steady. We will choose the light. The dark figures hesitated, the light from Asha growing stronger and more intense. The wind picked up again, but this time it wasn't destructive. It was cleansing, blowing away the dark energy that surrounded the intruders. With a mighty cry, the dark woman raised her hand, releasing a wave of shadow, but the light from Asha met it head-on, pushing back against the darkness. The battle between light and shadow raged in that moment. The ground trembled, and the sky crackled with energy. But it was Asha's unwavering belief in the light that began to tip the balance. With every step she took forward, the dark figures faltered, their forms flickering, their power weakening. Then, with one final burst of light, Asha held her hand out, and the darkness was banished. The figures dissolved into nothingness, their shadows vanishing like smoke in the wind. The storm began to subside, the dark clouds breaking apart, allowing the first rays of the sun to shine through once more. The village, battered but standing strong, was safe. Asha collapsed to her knees, breathless but victorious. Mira rushed to her side, holding her close. You did it, my child. You saved us all. The guardian's voice filled the air again, softer this time, filled with pride. The light has triumphed, and so has the child within you. The world has been given another chance. Asha looked around at the villagers, their faces full of wonder and gratitude. They had doubted her, but now they saw the truth. She had been right all along. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Asha felt ready. The child within her, the one they had all feared, would be the one to bring hope, not destruction. And together they would face whatever came next. But this story is not just about Asha and her battle. It's about courage, unity, and the power to choose our own destiny, no matter the obstacles. The darkness we face may take many forms, but with hope, love, and a steadfast heart, we can overcome it. Are you ready to face your own challenges with the same courage as Asha? What choices will you make in your own life to bring light to those around you? The journey may not always be easy, but it's always worth it. Stand together. Stay strong. Choose the light. If you found this story inspiring, share it with others who might need a spark of hope today. Together, we can spread the message that even in our darkest moments, there is always a way to choose the light.